Okay.
So my video is not, that will change when you start.
Right, Pat, I believe we're on. Just allow a minute or so for folks to trickle in. Okay. Wanted to make sure we are indeed online. Yes, we are. Okay. All right, Pat, there you are.
Hello, welcome everyone.
Welcome to TownSquare Talk.
Yes, we are delighted to have you with us. For those who are brand new to the talk show, Pearl and I put our heads together and started having ideas in regards to how to lean forward into COVID-19 and how we could make a difference to the community, to people who are struggling with the new normal, and how we could empower and provide resources to you and make this an easy transition, empower your day, give you some resources. And so that's how we came out with TownSquare Talk. Pearl and I go quite a way back. We both used to work for IBM, and we reconnected after several years, and we've been just masterminding on our businesses and having a lot of fun.
Yes, we love our masterminding session. As Pat mentioned, we just needed to do something. So we started this show with you to mastermind, hopefully toward a wholesome lifestyle is what we like to see as a result, not just surviving COVID-19. We're going to come out on the other end strong and thriving.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. So we are both entrepreneurs. And Pearl, if you'll introduce yourself.
Oh, sure. I have been in the consulting world for quite some time. And lately, I have been working very, very diligently and honored to work with CEOs and executives as well as professionals on their personal awakening. And those who are also seeking to advance to their next level of their greatness, and perhaps in new or maybe unconventional ways. So in order to find more about my work and what I do, what I offer, please visit my website, benchmarkmaven.com. And Pat?
And I'll tell you a secret about Pearl. She's also a yoga teacher. She doesn't say that, but she's a great yoga teacher.
Yeah, I love to incorporate that in my.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
so Pat Alva-Kraker
Thank you.
CEO of Majestic Coaching Group. And what I do is I work with women entrepreneurs, heart-centered women entrepreneurs who have businesses in either IT or in real estate and are looking for their path to clarity on scaling their business so that they can enjoy the time and financial freedom and do it with ease and grace. I'm also a speaker and an author. I have a book coming out early fall, and it's called The 7 Secrets of a Happy Woman, a journey, personal journey to elation. So stay tuned for that. And my website is majesticcoachinggroup.com.
And Pat, this is so amazing that we have all these shows, and today we're here to talk about music. And it's not just your everyday music, it's about therapeutic music. And we're honored to have Ms. Johnnie Proby join us. Would you please take a minute to introduce Johnnie for us?
Yes. So Johnnie Proby offers extensive insight into the healing properties of sound, vibrations, and music. She has studied the impact of each of those on the mind, body, and soul since her early 20s, when she studied under famed folk artist and international humanitarian Hope Foy. As a life therapeutic music therapist, Johnnie uses her voice as an instrument to help patients and families, caregivers, relax, stabilize, and rest. Johnnie volunteers regularly as a life therapeutic music practitioner at Emory Winship Cancer Center Institute in Atlanta, Georgia. She is also a highly acclaimed inspirational soul performing and recording artist who has released a CD, Life Is Now, and a single entitled She's a Pearl, which she wrote. So here we are.
True.
Awesome. That gives me the chills just listening to it. Whew.
Woo.
Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Oh my goodness. Deep breath after that. We're so happy that you're with us, Johnny, and thank you. What a beautiful opening to such a beautiful voice. And I know we have some questions, and there's a common question that has been coming up in regards to your area. And would you please define what therapeutic music is, and what's the difference between therapeutic music and music therapy?
Sure, I'd be happy to. And let me start by saying thank you so much for the opportunity to hang out with you this evening in your town hall talk. I'm grateful and honored to be a part of the work that you're doing, to be able to uplift and inspire so many. So thank you for what you are doing. So when we talk about therapeutic, the word therapeutic means to heal. And that is where therapeutic music comes in. So when the difference between therapeutic music and music therapy, a music therapist is someone who may work with a patient and they are looking for a specific outcome. So they may use instruments, vocal or instrument. They might use these instruments as therapeutic tools to be able to help. They monitor the behavior of a patient that they're working with and look for those changes. And then they notice those changes, then they can use those changes to be able to rehabilitate the person and to help them through their recovery. Where at therapeutic music, we work with the patient one-on-one, but not necessarily looking for a specific outcome. As the therapeutic musician, I would be the instrument. And so I would monitor or observe the patient in their condition, and specific music based on their condition would be administered to them, the music would, and that music would be able to assist them in providing an environment that's healing and comfort.
Thank you very much. Thank you
Oh,
very
that
much.
was
And this,
fascinating.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is a very fascinating field.
And
Just getting to
I
know.
realize the difference
Yeah,
until
exactly the difference.
just now. Yeah. So what made you decide to go into being a therapeutic musician, Johnny? I'm curious.
Very good question, Pat.
Pearl.
I'll make it Pat Pearl. I apologize,
That's
Pearl.
right.
A very good question. So I'll say that for starters, on this journey, I discovered my own self-healing through therapeutic music.
Mm.
And how that happened for me is growing up as a sibling, 12 siblings.
Wow.
Wow.
My mother was the loving force of the family, and my father was the strict disciplinarian. So self-expression was something that was not encouraged in our household. So you could imagine as a young child how difficult it might be to express yourself. And so through those challenges, music became my voice and the voice of my soul, because I didn't know how to express myself any other way. Fortunately, out of my siblings, I had an older sister who had a beautiful voice. And so she taught me how to sing and introduced me to music.
That's awesome.
So that was my introduction. So a few years ago, I decided to go back to school to get my master's degree and focused on public health. And my intention was to find out how to marry music, people, and service, my 3 areas of love. And so through my research and working with cancer patients and music, I discovered therapeutic music along the way.
Wow, what a beautiful story.
Wow.
So why don't you please share with our viewers about your practice? Tell us.
Yeah, so earlier you mentioned about COVID-19, and this is something that we're all dealing with right now. So before the events of COVID-19, my practice was going to the bedsides of patients in hospitals or hospice care, senior centers, rehabilitation, and working with the patient one-on-one, and to provide music to them to create this environment of comfort for relaxation and rest for them, to help them through their healing process. But now that COVID is something that we're all faced with, and social distancing is our new norm. So now this therapeutic music is provided virtually through Zoom or Skype.
good.
We can still
Okay.
work with patients one-on-one. But I'm finding now in my practice that I'm working more with healthcare workers because they are on the front line. They are really giving a lot of themselves, and they need to find a way of being able to stable and to replenish themselves. And so my work is really moving in that direction of being able to help them with sleep or stress and anxiety, and just being able to cope. So that way they can have more to give. And Pat, I know you know a lot about self-care, so definitely.
Wow.
So it sounds like where the therapeutic music is done can be pretty mobile now, that with the online tools being available to deliver that service. Besides that, is there, I mean, I heard hospital and patients, you would, work in person to provide that therapeutic music. Is there any other way or any other places that therapeutic music can be done in, besides what you mentioned earlier?
Sure. Acupuncture offices are using therapeutic
That's
music.
nice.
It's another place. Dialysis offices is another place.
Right.
I have worked in cancer centers where patients sometimes, when they go in for their cancer treatment, if their blood pressure is too high or their heart rate is too high, they can't really begin their treatments until they come down to a certain level. So being able to provide music to them in that environment until they can stabilize to the point to begin their treatment is another area where I have focused a lot.
So it sounds like facilities, organizations, and doctors' offices, and perhaps even places like you mentioned, delivering dialysis, and any places really when people walk in, they can just receive the music. It doesn't have to be setting aside separate time, it sounds like.
Not necessarily. Right? I mean, if you think about even when you go into an environment, even on an elevator, music is playing and it's doing something to you. It may be a moment just for you to catch your breath between meetings.
That's true, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
It's very interesting. And I'm also thinking, how is that particularly delivered so that maybe people can be reminded that they are listening not just to any music, but it's therapeutic in a way. Do you have certain protocol that, when you work with organizations or places to provide your service, how would that be, how would that work differently?
Yeah, so I would work with healthcare facilities and identify those patients who may need specific help. And as I said, now healthcare workers are the ones that's on the front line. So they are the ones that I'm reaching out to them, and they're reaching out to me as well, in being able to provide service to them.
Right, and it seems like they don't need to be on one-on-one. It can be a group of people as well.
Definitely
right?
Can be a group.
Okay.
Think about it. If you think about maybe right now with the way hospitals are working, nurses and doctors, they're barely getting to catch their breath in some instances. So sometimes it may be just a group of them, and because of social distancing, we have to keep that in mind as well. But they could still be together in a room, but socially distanced, and can still hear the music. The music can still the vibrations of that music can still touch them in a way where it can allow them to, find peace and rest.
And I wonder if it's it can be interactive, when you provide the services. Is it more interactive in terms of receiving as well from the patients, from people you are providing the services to? How that might be done, if that's part of the service?
I would describe that more in line with music, with therapy, with music therapy,
I see. Okay.
because of that interaction one-on-one, because they're specifically looking for an outcome. They're watching the behavior of a patient
Right.
and
Right.
looking for specific changes so that way they can rehabilitate that person. So that would be the difference.
Well, thank you for that reminder. I guess
Yeah.
I wasn't still quite getting that particular difference. So now,
So,
also,
yeah.
what's the difference between a therapeutic music specialist and an inspirational recording and performing artist, which I know you are because you released several albums like Pat mentioned earlier on.
Yes, wonderful. Well, let me explain the difference between the two, and thank you for asking the question. So as a therapeutic music practitioner, I would be considered a voice of healing.
Mm.
The music that I would be able to provide, again, if I was working with the patient one-on-one, or I would be helping them with their healing, towards their healing. So you think about live therapeutic music, it is a sound, the science of sound. And so it can be complementary or an alternative to, something, maybe medicine that they're already taking, but it can complement what they're already taking to help them, to assist them. So the music is basically acoustic music, which means it doesn't have any amplification or electronic amplification. It's basically, it could be an acoustic guitar. It could be the voice, the human voice, those types of instruments, especially a harp, is very, very common in our practice.
I would have never thought of that, a harp.
Yes,
That's
especially
interesting, especially a harp.
Yes, especially a harp. So when it comes to inspirational music, soul music, and I say soul because for me as the vocalist, I am finding music that touches my soul. If it touches me, it's going to touch you, and vice versa.
And
so,
you don't mean that by a certain genre. It's really just
no, it's just the soul
The soul of the
what it feels to
person.
my soul.
Yes.
How it touches my soul, exactly.
Yeah.
And so in this instance, I would say that I am the voice of hope. Because in this instance, I am providing music that's inspirational. Inspirational means to inspire. And so I am inspiring you to want to feel, better in those instances. And so when you think about the healing aspects of sound, studying the barefoot shiatsu, I learned about the aspects of music, the sound and the vibrations, and how that can make a difference in how you even hear music and how it can affect you that way.
It seems like they can go hand in hand.
I agree with that.
Right?
Yes,
Not necessarily different per se, but it seemed like one complement the other sometimes.
I agree. Yes. And it's nice to be able to discover that. I think I think all of a sudden recently a light bulb moment came on, and I realized that even though it sort of feels like two different lanes, they really do complement each other. Yes.
Oh, wonderful. So what are the benefits of music?
So the benefits of music, as I mentioned earlier, could be a complementary alternative to some treatment, a treatment that someone may already be taking. So when you think about, again, a patient who is going to have a treatment and their heart is racing and they're really feeling anxious or, not ready to take the treatment. So non-pharmacological music could be that maybe they're not having to take an aspirin or medication before their treatment. Music might be that calming effect for them.
Very nice.
And so that would be the benefit. Research shows that 20 to 30 minutes of listening to music can really soothe and stabilize the body. And that in itself is healing. It lowers the blood pressure, and it can also decrease pain levels as well as increase relaxation. And those are the main benefits that we highlight in realizing the benefits of music.
Now, do you have any cases any clients that you'd like to, any success stories that you'd like to share with us?
I would love to. I can tell you of one that comes to mind, and this is a cancer patient who was suffering from neuropathy. And this is where her fingers and toes would feel the sensation she would pretty much lose in her fingers and toes. So just getting up in the morning, and trying to get out of bed was difficult for her. So what she tried to do to take her mind off of the pain, we learned that listening to music was beneficial to her. So I'll never forget her quote. She would say, if I could just turn the radio on, I know I could make it through the day. But the tough part of that was just being able to reach, because her fingers were numb. So just being able to reach and turn the radio on was, was the challenge. But once she could do that, just taking a 20 minutes of whatever time it would take for her body to be able to absorb that music and give her the strength to be able to say, okay, I've got what I need and I can now move on and I can now move. And I'll never forget that story, because it really helped her to be able to navigate and overcome that challenge.
Well, just, hearing so much about the benefits and just really a positive result, I'm sure that we have some listeners that are curious as to how they would work with you. How would they start that conversation?
Yes, well, we can provide my information to them easily, johnnieproby.com. But right now, as we're talking about COVID, we know that this is real for a lot of us, for a lot of our families. There are a lot of loved ones. And so when it comes to self-care, self-love and self-care, it is very important. And so we know that COVID is creating panic, and panic is fear. And if someone really overcome those fears is to be able to work with someone. I'd be happy to be able to work with them, just to be able to, one, talk through it, to be able to be a voice so that they could have someone to listen to them. And then help them with music, so that to prescribe maybe certain types of music that they already may be familiar with, have a relationship with, that they could already, just use to be able to help center them. It might even be from the time when they wake up in the morning, using a specific alarm instead of an alarm clock that jolts you out of bed. Maybe a certain type of music might resonate with them. And those vibrations might be what really wakes them up into realizing they could wake up to create a normal day and not rest in fear.
And I like what you mentioned is we select music that the person already has a relationship with, which that's a term that I've never heard in regards to music, is what the relationship you have to music. So that's new to me.
Yeah, well, we know what feels right for us, right?
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
That's what music it is about, a feeling, and it's how, emotionally how it makes us feel. Even, when you think about our teenagers and them listening to hip hop, we may not understand what they're feeling, but they know, but they know what resonate with them. And so I always say that about when it comes to teens, let them have their space. Let them have what works for them, what speaks to their heart, because I'd rather have them listening to something that speaks to their heart and keeps them uplifted and inspired than something that's going to put them in an atmosphere that makes them want to rebel and go the opposite direction from what we may want for them.
Yeah, it's very nice, especially when you really can't be with your friends in person.
Yes, yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's got to be something that is soothing, self-soothing.
We know that there's some hip hop music that's not, but at the same time, the way, they know what feels right for them. And I think we definitely should give them that space to figure that out.
So I'm also starting to wonder, I know sometimes we can feel the healing aspect coming on when you listen to certain music. And how does it work really, or scientifically? How does music make your body and your soul heal?
Yes, very good question. So there's something in the body that's called the sympathetic nervous system. And when we think about when we feel be in a situation where we feel the fight or flight, we're not really sure if we're going to really stay and deal with this, or if we need to take off and run. So in those instances, the adrenaline starts to course through the body. the heart rate, the blood pressure, and it has increased, and we're not really sure how to handle that.
Mhm.
So on the other side of that, though, is the parasympathetic nervous system, and that's our stress eraser. And it helps us in our response, and it helps to stabilize us. And so when we're thinking about those two instances, music can be that one thing that may reduce the stress, the heart rate, and lower the blood pressure, creates harmony in the body. And so that in itself is healing. And so when we can take the time to relax for a little while, breathing exercises is another way of being able to calm through that. Even listening to music while you're practicing yoga is another way of being able to just really help us with that healing, because it helps with our breathing. And so those are ways that music can really help to heal the body. We know that stress is a #1 killer. So that way, as any time that we have a chance to really keep our blood pressure under control, our breathing, then we're really on the path to keeping ourselves healed, health, and whole.
Yeah, it's making sense now that you mentioned the parasympathetic, the PNS, as well as the other nervous systems that gets calm. Perhaps we could have a quick, demo with us. I know that we kind of had something prepared, so if you could please take us through that, that would be awesome.
Let's do that. I'm excited about this, because when research says that even humming can be healing to the body. And so maybe 5 minutes of humming, you can imagine if you're humming while you're washing dishes or putting away the laundry. So we can kind of practice something like that and see how it really feels if we can all. So one of the sounds that we can use is a sound that's similar is Om, the Om sound. When we think about sounds, we can also think about the vowel sounds, the A, E, I, O, U. But in this case, so when you're trying to think of how do I hum? I don't know how to sing, so do I really know how to hum? It doesn't matter. Yeah, so let's try together the Om sound together.
Okay.
I'm gonna count to 3, and then we'll just put it out together. 1, 2, 3.
It's just that we're trying a way to kind of harmonize, isn't it?
Yes, and that's almost a natural thing, and that's called entrainment. We sort of like feel what the other person is feeling.
Yeah.
So we can try that again together.
Yeah, let's do that.
On the sound, and this time I want you to think about where you might feel that in your body, or relaxed or calm.
Okay.
Together, 1, 2, 3.
Feel it in my mouth,
Resonance.
chest, heart. Yeah.
Yes, very good. Yeah, so if you think about the vowel sounds, the A, the E, the I, the O, and the U, those are the sounds that you could use when you want to figure out exactly what to hum. Or just, you might hear a song on the radio, and before you know it, you're humming that song. Just go with it.
Yeah, you know what? Now that you mentioned it, I noticed sometimes I would just go, like just no tune at all, but you just kind of unconsciously go, and sometimes Jim would be kind of teasing me like, there she goes, she's happy.
And think about that, what you just said. She's happy. I mean, you're happy. That's the healing.
It's built in, I guess. Before I break, it just somehow comes on. I think harder part is for folks to somehow get caught up, right, in that moment where they forgot about doing that.
That's right.
Would you recommend certain technique to kind of maybe remind themselves, or in a way to just first I'll breathe and then I'll just hum.
And then just hum. Yeah, exactly. What a neat toolkit to have in your bag are those 2 simple things that you can take with you anywhere. Is the breathing and the humming.
So just think about that.
Yeah, I think
5 minutes of humming can reduce your stress
oh,
level.
wow, 5 minutes.
Yes. And
it
it may
be
not be,
anything, right?
yeah, like I said, it may be something that you heard on the radio and you can just hum some of that and just, you know, you're putting the dishes away and you're humming, or driving, you know, running in an errand and driving, and you can hum, you know, so that just, as Pearl said earlier, humming keeps you happy.
I think and I think it's also contagious.
Yes.
Because you're around something, you know, you're humming to a song somebody else knows, and they're, you know, they're going to jump in, right? And they're going to hum to the same song. So
Yes.
it's just so natural and simple to do, but so powerful.
It can be, yes.
Yeah, so powerful at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness.
And there's emotions involved too, right, Pam?
Right, and exactly. So we've talked a lot about the feelings of music and the emotions. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yes. So when we think about emotions is physically, mentally, emotionally, we're dealing with something. And so let's take anger and or sadness as one. And so when we get angry, sometimes we don't know how to release the anger. So we may feel a shortness of breath, or a tension in the stomach or the solar plex area, or gripping in the throat because we want to say something, but we're not really sure how to say it. Are we wondering, should we say it? And so we feel that. And so all of that just builds up in the body. So research shows that listening to classical music can improve one's mood, physical.
I love classical.
Yes, it increases your physical energy and also helps you with clear thinking. So if anyone out there is preparing for some kind of test, you're in school, it's the end of the school season and you're preparing for that. So you can think about maybe listening to some soft classical music that can also be helpful while you're studying. But when it comes to anger, this is something that I think is a really good practice. If we can take a piece of music that we are already familiar with, and when we're in that place of anger, we can think about a dance that we could do, and we can call that our mad dance. And just get into that dance until you finally shake off whatever that anger is and put you into a different mood as well.
I'm so glad you're calling it out, honestly.
I love that.
Sometimes, you know, when I'm just in that moment, I gotta just have to walk it off and, you know, maybe just moving my, you know, body, just kind of like letting it out before I say something I regret.
Yes. This is so very true. One of the things too to keep in mind when it comes to dealing with these different types of emotions, sometimes we when we get to the point where we feel like we're losing control and we're not really sure what to do, there are things we can do what we know to do. And if that's one of them, to be able to play a piece of music that you like, that's something that you have control of.
That's true.
You know, so just work on the things that you can control, and it'll help you and sometimes it may be step by step. When we're feeling vulnerable, we have to go through it in order to overcome. Sometimes we just can't ignore it. So going through it, walking through it, or we might have to just sit in it for a little while. You know, emotionally, you know, so when in those times, again, feeling vulnerable, we have to learn to trust oneself and listen to the inner guidance, because that's where a lot of our answers are within us already. So just remembering to control what we can control. And if I give you nothing else today, I will say, remember to breathe.
It's so important, isn't it? Yeah, I want to just take a deep breath right now.
And it's free.
One breath at a time.
So far, right?
All we can handle.
Feel free.
Lovely. And I, you know, I have pets. I've been around animals for the longest time, so I can, I would think that even the music that you would listen to, even like they have even classical music for dogs to help dogs heal. So I'm, you know, I can see how that would be a specialty of a vet or someone who really has that connection with animals to bring music into a healing session.
Very much so. And now that there are healing dogs, there are healing animals now that they are being used in a lot of hospital settings.
So
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Wonderful.
you didn't call out quite a few, in a way, techniques and different perspectives in
Yes.
listening to music. Perhaps it'd be good for us to play the song again for our viewers, and maybe they'll listen and pick up something different or
Yeah.
a different effect.
So
Yes.
if I was a newbie and I wanted to hear the first song that we just played differently, what would I focus on?
I would say that if you think about the music, how it feels in your heart area,
Mm-hmm.
how it feels in your throat, how it feels in your stomach or your solar plex.
Okay.
Those three areas right down in the center, because
Mhm.
that's
Right here.
where life is
Mm-hmm.
in
Yeah.
our breathing. Yes.
That's true.
And how that might relax you. Do you feel any calmer when you're listening to it as well?
Very nice. So now I'm aware, now I have a sense of awareness in going into this beautiful piece that you sang and how that's going to feel as I sit here and listen to that. So are we
Yeah.
ready?
So let's try.
Let's try this and
This
be
again.
more aware.
All right.
I feel the healing love of God within me as I allow that love to flow to you. My heart
Wow, that is so impactful. Just dropping down, dropping in, and the vibration that I personally felt. I could even feel the energy moving, and I even felt myself moving, almost rocking to that to the song with that level of attention.
Yeah, and I noticed too, even to the point where each instrument comes in, and when the piano starts to play,
Yes.
the flutes, start to play, and I noticed that different parts of my body, chest and head, and especially when I close my eyes, right, and it just become more and more like different. Even it sounds like my body is playing with the music, and this is probably like the 10th time I've listened to your song, this particular song there, and every time I still pick up so many different pieces, and it just reminds me of different parts of the memory as well. It's so interesting. Like my great grandmother would come into my mind. So, the different experiences I had in my life, it just brings me to appreciation and gratefulness and so on. So
Gratitude.
yeah.
So, and just the goosebumps that I get when I heard them. I felt the goosebumps the first time on the show when we played it, and then when I went in and just really paid attention, the goosebumps were even amplified.
Right.
They were amplified as like, wow, like that's a really interesting feeling.
Right, and the meaning, right? The meaning of the words, starting to bring up so many different pieces, different parts. I tell you,
that's really, really good. So what that really helps me see is when I think of certain music, and you say the lyrics can give you hope.
Yes, absolutely.
Talking earlier about the difference between inspirational soul artist and therapeutic musician or practitioner.
Well,
but that's really good. One of the things I wanted to say too, when you're listening, this is something that you can take with you and put in your toolbox too. When you're listening to music, you're not really just listening through your ears. Your whole body is absorbing those vibrations. Through your skin as well. So
absolutely.
Being aware of that too is a part of the healing process. Yes,
that's a great call out.
It is, and it's an amazing experience once you become really aware, and you touch so many people. The caregivers, the people that are on the front line now, especially, it's and I hope we have some of our listeners who may be on the front line or have families on the front line that can now be aware of a possible even gift, right, to make to the front people that are on the front line, as you had mentioned that you had been giving of those the frontline nurses and doctors. You shared with us earlier the special benefits and how you're making an impact there. So, I think, Pearl, that people are going to want to know how to get a hold of Johnnie,
Absolutely.
We've made people aware of what she does and all the benefits and how joyful it is and how hopeful you can become when you listen to her music. So, how do people work with you?
So that would be easy. They could reach out to me at Johnnie Proby, JoHNnie. Proby is P as in Paul, ROB as in boy, Y.com. And my website is johnnieproby.com. My email address is johnnieproby@gmail.com.
And as you mentioned, it can be done remotely.
Yes, it can be done remotely.
It can be done remotely. So anywhere in the world, you can have clients anywhere in the world.
Right. And Johnnie brought us some free gifts to the viewers today too.
We
Yes,
all
I
always like
do.
gifts.
It's really excited to be able to share with the first and second person who reaches out to me at johnnyproby.com or johnnyproby@gmail.com. I'm going to give away one of my inspirational CDs. I will autograph it to them and mail it to them and take care of the shipping and handling. So it is an inspirational CD with 10 songs that are uplifting and inspiring. That is the intention behind this whole project. And then so the second person who reaches out, I will give them a 15-minute one-on-one therapeutic music consultation.
Wow.
Ooh.
Priceless.
Better hurry.
That is priceless.
All right.
Oh, man.
Oh, my
I feel so
goodness.
relaxed.
Yeah.
I feel good. I feel like I'm floating.
Well,
It's
I'll
such a
say
pleasure to
that
have you.
one of the things that I wanted to love to be able to share is that sometimes it takes just one vibration to soothe you, to
Oh,
comfort you, to uplift you, to inspire you, and or to heal you.
I love those words. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank
You're
you
welcome.
so much. So we
Wow.
we want to thank everyone that came on to listen to Johnny. And this is a recorded show. So if you didn't catch all of it, you can always replay it. And if you know someone that can benefit from what you've learned today, we invite you to share it with someone else.
Yes.
So as the story goes, we meet here every Tuesday from 6 to 7 Central. And next week, we're going to be talking about finance and financial tips to consider during COVID-19. And our guest will be Anne-Marie Milanazzo, who's a senior wealth advisor with Hey Dad Milanazzo Financial Group. So we invite you to stay tuned and register. Join us next Tuesday. We thank Johnny again for her inspiration, and thank you for being on our show. And I would like to share a final quote. Sometimes music is the only medicine the heart and soul need. By Tiny Buddha.
Beautiful. And as we wrap up today's show, thank you once again, Johnny, for being on our show. Beautiful, beautiful message and opportunity for our viewers to get themselves healed and even expand their horizon. And we're gonna play another song of Johnny's, of course, as we wrap up for today's show.
When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you travel seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile but you have to sigh. When cares pressing you down a bit, rest if you might. Don't you give up. Yeah. Hold on to your dreams. And you see the light. Hold on. Don't you give up. Yeah. No. Hold on. Don't give up.
Yes.
Fantastic. Well,
Thank
thank
you.
you once again so very much, Johnny. And
My
please stay in
pleasure.
touch and take good care of yourself during this COVID-19 time. We'd love to have another opportunity to bring you back sometime.
Honor too.
We appreciate you. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you,
And
ladies.
Good night, everyone.
viewers. We'll see you on TownSquare Talk next Tuesday.
Next, be there or be square.
Take care, everyone.